for undocumented immigrants, you will be able to start sleeping a little better. The Department of Homeland Security under President Joe Biden has announced that they are going to officially change. It's been unofficial, so I've been telling clients don't worry, but now it's official. They are officially changing their immigration priorities in terms of who they want to arrest for deportation. And their priorities are this: if you have criminal records, you've committed fraud, you're caught at the border, you are a suspected terrorist, expect to be arrested by the Department of Homeland Security. If you are minding your own business and just happen to have overstayed on your visa, don't expect Department of Homeland Security to be knocking on your door. Don't expect them to be knocking on your door even if you file an application and it gets denied. Don't expect them to be knocking on your door if you have an order of removal, because they will be leaving you alone under these new guidelines. So that's very good news for people who are just trying to make a better life for themselves, good people trying to make a better life for themselves. There's a lot to worry about when you're undocumented. And number one on the list is somebody going to come knock on my door? I'm scared to get pulled over. So in these situations, unless you have a criminal record, unless you have committed fraud with the government, and they are aware of it, unless you are a terrorist threat, or unless you are caught near the border trying to enter the United States, well, for all intents and purposes, the Department of Homeland Security is not going to put you in removal just because you are undocumented. There has to be something more than you are undocumented to be placed in removal. Now, this approach, according to the Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, he argues it takes into account the department's limited resources and the fact that a removable non-citizen should not alone be the basis of an enforcement action against them. I am quoting from the head of the Department of Homeland Security. That's not Brad Bernstein's quote. That is Alejandro Mayorkas' quote. Let me say this again because it is important, because there's so many undocumented people in the United States watching right now who are terrified and shouldn't be. A removable non-citizen should not alone be the basis of an enforcement action against them. Basically meaning if you're undocumented, you got to have something more than just being undocumented. The guidelines, according to Alejandro Mayorkas, just as I said, focus on national security, public safety, border security. Mayorkas told reporters, I'm quoting him again, these guidelines don't take a categorical approach. They call for an individualized determination in each case, assess the individual, investigate the facts, understand the totality of the facts and circumstances, and then make a determination whether the individual in fact poses a public safety threat. So this is a completely different approach than what we had under Donald Trump, that if they came across you and you're undocumented, you were getting put in removal. Remember when we were doing our show 3-4 years ago, people were announcing Department of Homeland Security is on 222nd Street, get in your apartment. People were petrified. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not the case anymore. So they're taking a more humane approach. Good. And they're recognizing that people who may have overstayed on their visa, who are working, who are hardworking people, they're contributing, should not be the ones that law enforcement should be going to separate them from their families, from their jobs, from their employers, from their homes that they've had here for many, many years. So I think that's some good news. I think they're doing this because they're recognizing there's no plan A and there's no plan B.
Why do you feel like this priority took so long?
I think when they realized that plan A and plan B is not happening, and President Biden came into office, the first day in office, he came out with the U.S. Citizenship Act that was basically, I'm going to make everybody's life better. And that went nowhere. And then they talked about the reconciliation package, Plan A and Plan B, and that went nowhere. And what we have heard, what people are thinking, it's no secret, same old bullshit. Same old bullshit. Whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans. Lots of promises, lots of this is going to happen, building people's hopes up, and then life doesn't change. So I think at least it's his way of saying, listen, I'm trying. I don't know, but that's just my assessment of it. When I started out, I'll tell you a quick story. When I started out as an immigration lawyer, one of my first clients came to me. He said, Brad, I just want to go home. I'm tired of being here, and I don't have any money for a plane ticket. So I said, listen, I'm a young lawyer. I don't have any money to give you for a plane ticket either. But what you should do, you're undocumented. Go down to 26 Federal Plaza. This was back in 1993. True story. When I first started out, I said, go down to 26 Federal Plaza. It's about 5 blocks from my office. It's where the Immigration Service is. And tell them you're undocumented. They'll put you in deportation and they'll fly you home on the cost of the government. So man leaves my office. I said, all right, I'll never see him again. 3 hours later, he's back in my waiting room. I said, what are you doing here? I told you to go down and get yourself deported and the government will fly you home. Free ticket. He says, I went in there. They sent me up to the enforcement floor. I told them I'm undocumented. I want to be deported and I want to go home. And they said to me, we're too busy. You've done nothing wrong. Go home. And what I learned throughout the whole 90s as an immigration attorney is government's not going to deport you unless you've done something wrong. And then it changed around 9/11. And then once 9/11 happened, we became a much bigger security state. And it just stepped up year after year after year in terms of the security state, whether it's local police being armed with military gear, whether it's now a Department of Homeland Security that didn't even exist. ICE didn't exist before 9/11. Perhaps Joe Biden is trying to make it a little nicer America now, bringing us back to the 90s rather than the Trump era.
You gotta appreciate
so
that.
maybe. Yeah. I sent him in the morning and in the afternoon. He's back in my waiting room. What are you doing here, man?
What did he expect you to do after that? Like find another way?
Well, you want to know what? Ultimately, the funny thing is, my recollection is he got married a few years later and ended up with a green card. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.